Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of the Fitness Devil podcast. Today's guest is Kelly Coffey, who's a friend and one of the coolest trainers and public speakers that I know. She's going to come and talk about self-sabotage, obesity, a whole bunch of the mental aspects of a lot of people's battles. And she talks a lot about sex, too, so stick around for that. And really important for us, too. We'd love it if you guys could make the effort to like our Facebook page, Fitness Devil podcast page, and reviews on iTunes help us so much, boost ourselves in the rankings on iTunes so that more people can follow us and find us. So 5-star reviews, please and thank you. Pull over the car, do it right now, and enjoy the episode.
Shut up and sit down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. I'm Andrew Coates, Dean Guido sitting right across from me, but we don't really matter too much because our guest is super cool. Today we've got Kelly Coffey of strongcoffee.com. Coffee spelt with a Y, not two E's. And she's pretty great.
It would have been better with two E's, by the way. But
no, it makes you unique.
It would have been so much cooler. You could have played on coffee so much better. Anyways.
No, I love it. So Kelly's a certified personal trainer and a coach, but no credential really quite captures who she is and what she does. So instead of a long drawn-out intro, Kelly, I want you to introduce yourself and your mission.
My mission? Well, first of all, thank you so much, Andrew, for having me on. It's always good to talk to you. My mission is to help women who suffer from chronic self-sabotage, so who find themselves perpetually starting and stopping and most often losing weight and then regaining it, to give them the tools and the support that they need to change for once and for all and for life in a way that is sustainable and feels good and works for them in the context of their real lives.
Quick question. You said women, so your clientele are largely women, but do you feel like this ever applies to men?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I have worked with men in the past, but what I've discovered for one reason or another, and I don't know why, is that women tend to stay longer and benefit more from programs that are catered to them specifically. So I chose to, it was a hard decision to make, but I chose to just focus on women.
Well, that's pretty common in our industry, too, is a lot of people do niche themselves and serve the people that they're best able to help.
Plus, guys don't listen.
Well, actually, there's another good point. Do you feel like there's any stigma that guys experience with trying to explore these kind of deep reaches of their emotional relationships with this sort of stuff?
Oh my goodness, so much. Yeah. And I have to say that the men that I have worked with probably, I probably spent more time supporting them and coaching them and sort of nursing them along than I have with women. So not only does this apply to them, but they need extra support and that's a really hard place to be because there is a huge stigma, I think, against men addressing the sort of emotional roots of their sort of self-destructive behaviors.
Well, because I want to bring that because I didn't want the guys who are going to listen to this episode or regulars to go, oh, this is one about women. Like, oh, it's peace out.
This is a chick flick. I'm out.
They're just good talking about women. It's
guys,
like, no, guys are worse.
Stick around because Kelly is incredibly fun. But I've told a lot of women that I train, a lot of my friends, like, hey, this is someone you need to meet. This is someone you need to follow. But I really hope the guys will actually stick around too, because you'd be surprised how interesting this whole conversation is going to get. And we're not just going to stay in a lot of quote chick type stuff either, right?
You're not going to fuck around, basically. So our work, so you're a trainer, we're all trainers, but it's not all about teaching good form on lunges and nutritional info. You kind of really attack that mental and emotional aspect of our work and helping people. So can you kind of talk about this whole self-sabotage thing and kind of elaborate why people get stuck and how they slide back into it?
Sure. So in my work, I have discovered that there is a portion of people, part of the population who struggle to make change for life. The root of their struggle can be traced back to ideas that they were given in childhood about their own value and their own worth. And I know that people talk about this stuff endlessly, and it's sort of annoying as a talking point, even to me at this point. But the fact that it is an influence and a destructive influence on us, on women in particular, and many, many men, is something that's not often addressed and needs to be addressed if we are going to be effective trainers for the people that we work with who need us the most, right? It's not the person who comes into your gym 7 days a week, who wears your t-shirt, who, is a walking billboard for your business that is the person that needs you the most. The person that needs you the most is the 75-pound overweight woman who sort of shyly walks in on January 1st wanting to know what your rates are, right? So what I've discovered is that shame, the notion that there is something wrong with us, and it doesn't matter what we do, there is always going to be something wrong with us, something big, something blaring, something that means that we're not worth our own time and attention or anybody else's time and attention. That is the root of our inability to follow through on the commitments that we make to ourselves. Because as soon as things get rough, as soon as things get expensive, as soon as they get inconvenient, as soon as they inconvenience someone else, heaven for fucking fend, then we bail because we can't handle the stress, the physical experience of the stress that it causes us to feel like we're putting anybody out or even putting ourselves out in service to our health. Plus, we have this tape going in our heads all the time that says, you know what, this isn't going to fucking work anyway. So why do you even bother? Why are you going to spend that money? Why even bother? Why are you going to go out in the cold and work out? Why even bother? Right? So that tape is constantly playing. And then you combine that narrative, that just sit down and give up narrative with the physical experience of shame and discomfort. And it makes it impossible to stay away from the middle of the grocery store. It makes it impossible to commit to paying $90 a month to go to your local gym. It makes it impossible. And my work is all about shining a light on the fact that all of that is going on and giving people practical tools and tips to help them make those good choices regardless of the fact that they're hearing these messages and they're feeling these feelings, because the messages don't stop and the feelings don't stop, but how we choose to react to them is entirely within our control. And that's what I empower people to own.
I love that message, actually. And something I talk a lot about with people too is this idea about internal locus of control, and specifically control. And the word blame gets thrown around a whole lot. That gets really negative. I don't like that. Instead of reframing it into responsibility and control. And when people understand, the decisions you made to get you here, those are things that ultimately you were part of that decision-making process. When people can understand that, I feel like then they feel like, hey, I can control the future. I can control the outcome through my actions. I'm very wary of anything that alleviates all responsibility from an individual in their fitness, in their nutrition, or any walk of life, because those people are perpetually set up as victims, and they blame everyone and everything else around them. And I don't think those people are ever equipped to be able to take action, make choices that will better their future. What do you feel about that?
I agree. So I've sort of narrowed it down to there are 4 ways that people who suffer from shame-based self-sabotage react to the experience of feeling like they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. So, and one of those, so just very briefly. So there's sort of 4 maladaptive reactions to the experience of who am I kidding? What am I doing? One of them is lashing out at other people. And that can mean sort of, oh, this person's making me feel uncomfortable. I'm going to insult them and rip them to shreds with my razor sharp tongue until they're crying on the floor. Or it can mean, lashing out can mean placing blame for the actions that we choose to take on other people. So we're sort of projecting the irrational, self-destructive choices that we're making onto everyone but ourselves. So we blame our spouses for not making enough money, so we can't actually afford to go to the gym. So screw you, you're the reason why I'm unhealthy. Or we blame a popular one, and one that I did for a long time, is we blame our parents for not setting us up with good role models, and for giving us those messages to begin with that we were worthless and that we weren't worth the time and the effort and the money, that kind of stuff. So yeah, the blame piece is a huge problem. And not that those things necessarily aren't true. They often are. And yet there is always a better decision that we could choose to make if only we would focus on the power that we have in the moment and not on the shortcomings of other people.
Well, I was going to say, like, even the fact that you're thinking those things means that you have the power to change stuff. Because if you're kind of taking a self-reflective look at that, like, oh, my parents this, my parents that, you've already figured out that that was wrong.
Right. And this is a problem this is what I lead with when I work with people, is here are the ways that you react to your own internal experience of feeling worthless. And here is why they are destructive to you. And I start to, I start to pull the veil off of, and here's your tendency to place blame on your parents for setting you up in such a shitty way and not giving you positive role models and not giving you good, healthy habits. And as soon as I start to show them what they're doing and why it's hurting them, and the fact that it's totally unnecessary for them to continue to do that, and that they can instead acknowledge that they weren't set up well and make better choices, people bail because they don't want to give up the sort of righteous indignance.
Ooh.
They don't want to give up the perfectly reasonable sounding excuses why they're not taking the steps that they know they need to take in order to feel better and live longer and be healthier. And so it's a hard sell.
Yeah, you tell them the truth and they're like, fuck this.
Get me out of here. What are you doing? Wait, somebody give me some bulletproof coffee. I heard putting fucking butter in my coffee will make me thin. Let me go over there and do that.
So how do you
Shut up, Kelly Coffee. You're an asshole.
How do you fight that then?
It happens every day.
Because you know that it's going to be, I don't even know if it's a 50-50 shot at this point. But I mean, if you have that real talk with them, how do you try to navigate them to not quitting? Does that make sense?
Oh man.
Because you probably know what's coming.
If they're so married to being comfortably in denial, there's nothing that I can do in the beginning. There's no honest thing that I can do in the beginning. And I'm only, my own mental, emotional, and physical health and well-being depend on me being honest. So I refuse to blow smoke up anybody's ass. And oftentimes I just have to be like, I totally understand. I get it that this is uncomfortable and frustrating. If and when you feel ready to come back and listen to me, the door is always open to you. But if they're not there, they're not there, and there's nothing that I can do to help them in that moment.
And that's fair at the beginning, because I mean, you're not going to invest a lot of time if they're not ready for it either, especially after that conversation.
Well,
I think anyone who's used to blaming everyone else, and again, I think I've encountered people in my life, they're just perpetual victims, and being confronted with the fact that, wait a second, no, this is actually, they did this to themselves in a fairly significant way. Some people cannot process that. They cannot deal with that or shift out of that mindset because they have learned to get through life as a victim, and they're just not willing to take responsibility for their own decisions or actions or behavior. Maybe they'll arrive at some point. They're not there yet.
It is important to note that initially they were a victim.
Yeah,
there was some injury. There is, most of the time this doesn't come out of nowhere. There is some initial slight or initial abuse or trauma or neglect or whatever it is. And so that exists, and choosing to make better choices today, despite that, is really hard to do, but completely necessary. And we have a choice every single day. We didn't have a choice to become the victim initially, but we have a choice every single day, every minute of every day, whether or not we're going to continue to live in that space, that victimhood space, or if we're going to take our power and use it for our own benefit. And it's all about taking our power and using it for our own benefit in ways that make us feel pleasure. That's That's what I do.
That makes a ton of sense, and I'm glad you clarified that point too. Well, the whole reason why we're here recording this podcast is because I was first introduced to you. You were the opening speaker in Kansas City at the Fitness Summit this past May, and you relayed your own transformation story. So we really wanted to share with people that so they could perhaps relate to where you've been in life. They might be a little surprised at this one, so fire away.
So I, like you said, I'm an ACSM certified personal trainer today. I am a coach, but I am the fact that is what I do today is like the best punchline ever, because I was obese from the word go, like 4 or 5 years old. I weighed over 300 pounds by the time I was 17. I am in recovery. I have drug addiction and alcoholism and food addiction and pick a thing. The only thing that I haven't developed an addiction to is gambling. That's like Kelly Coffey trivia. What's the one thing Kelly Coffey's never been addicted to? Gambling. How interesting. But you know, I'm in my 30s. Like, I'm young. We'll see what happens. So I reached a bottom with the weight thing much younger than most people do, by virtue of the fact that I was as big as I was, as young as I was, and had been for so long. And I had been dieting. I had been attempting to lose that weight since I was 5 years old. My mom, also obese. Shocker, I know. She had been taking me to Weight Watchers meetings in Queens, New York, from the age of 5. And so I was indoctrinated into diet culture, wicked young, and I did the dance. I lost 20 pounds, and then I gained 30, and then I'd lost 40, and then I gained 60, and I just kept doing that until I was over 300 pounds. And then a few years after that, well, I should say that at my heaviest, I decided that what I was doing was crazy and that I should just accept my body as it was. I was just going to embrace my body as it was, and I wasn't going to worry about food anymore, and I certainly wasn't going to diet anymore, and I was just going to do my best as I was. And emotionally and mentally, that was a really big step forward. But what ended up happening physically was that I gained weight faster than I ever had in my whole life. And I developed all of these problems because I like to feel good, right? I like to feel pleasure. I like to feel, I'm a hedonist at heart, and I couldn't deny that I felt like shit. And every single pound that I gained made me feel shittier. And so I realized that this was not a sustainable model either. This like fat acceptance, I'm just going to be okay with it thing was not sustainable. And so I decided to have weight loss surgery in 2003. I had the big kahuna gastric bypass. And I was, as everyone is who has weight loss surgery, entirely convinced that this was the magic bullet that would solve all my problems. I would get skinny. I would stay skinny. My life would begin. I would grow wings. I would fly into the heavens, and there would be harp music, and it would be fucking awesome. And I had the surgery, and I lost 170 pounds in under a year. Boom. And I hit a plateau and immediately started to gain my weight back because the surgery didn't do anything to my brain, and it didn't do anything to the way I experience shame, and it didn't do anything to the way that I cope or don't with my own emotions and with my own reality. And there's only one way, once you've hit that bottom weight, to go, unless you address all of the reasons why you ended up heavy to begin with, which is back up. And so I started going back up. And eventually I had one of those dark nights of the soul that we hear about so much. But it was pretty profound on my end. And, I realized that I had done absolutely everything in my power to stop myself from being obese, that involved restricting food and doing nothing else. And clearly that was not going to work. clearly that was not the way. And so I did one of those, I did one of those extreme 180-degree turns where I decided, instead of trying to fix this body that was broken and wrong and horrible and needed to be tamed, I was going to just take the best care of it that I was capable of taking each time I had a decision to make. And that sounds ridiculously simple and stupid. And it is the solution that everyone is paying through the nose to try to find. It's not in a bag, and it's not in a box, and it's certainly not in putting butter in your coffee. It's not anything more complicated than making the most caring choice that is available to you each time you have a choice. And this became sort of the cornerstone of my practice. And of course, there's other things. There's lots of other things. And I lift weights, and I do this, and I meditate, and I breathe, and I really like to masturbate. And there's a lot of things that go into my wellness box, so to speak.
Oh, God.
But the cornerstone of all of it is that I make the most caring choice that I'm capable of making each moment that I have a choice. And using that as my guiding principle.
My main question was, so you're sitting there contemplating weight loss. How did you come to that decision of taking better care of yourself? Because that's really simple considering what you just went through. Like, where did that idea come from?
So that's a really good question. The night that I turned around, the night that I mark as like the beginning of this part of my life, I had eaten. I had binged to the point that I could, because I had this little tiny pouch of a stomach because of the weight loss surgery that I'd had, right? So I couldn't take down a whole pizza anymore, but I could pack it in, right? But I would eat so much that I would pass out in a cold sweat, in pain, right? So I had done that. I had binged, I had passed out in a cold sweat. I woke up in the middle of the night, and the first thing that I did was walk into the kitchen and open the refrigerator door. And it was dark and it was cold. It was March. I was living in a shithole. And I realized in that moment that I had done everything. I had spent thousands of dollars to have this surgery, and it wasn't working. It wasn't enough. Not only was it not enough, but trying to fix what was wrong with me in the aggressive way that I was doing I was going to end up incidentally killing myself. I was never suicidal. I have never felt suicidal, but I realized that the making efforts to fix my broken self, to right all of my wrongs, was going to accidentally put me in an early grave. And I had this thought, standing there in my kitchen in the cold, in this white robe that I still have, with the refrigerator door open and me lit by that light. I was like, I love myself and I don't want to die. I love myself enough that I do not want to die. I am not prepared to stop living yet. And if that is true, if I have enough love in me to not want to die, then I have just enough love in me to start to take care of myself instead of trying to beat myself into submission, trying to beat my body into submission, trying to stop being so fucked up, right? If I love myself enough to not die, I love myself enough to just take care of myself so that I'm never in this moment again. And that was the thought, those were the thoughts as they unfolded in my head. And that was where the word care came from. Like, this was not self-care this was 2005. Self-care in 2005 was like nothing. Yeah. The internet wasn't even really that big yet. And, not everybody was a freaking Beachbody coach pushing self-care at any cost.
YouTube just came out. Like, it was 2005.
YouTube had just come out, right? Like, this was cutting edge shit in 2005, right? So I'm standing in my kitchen and I'm like, I got to take care of myself. And like, it sounds so played out and so simple now because we're so saturated by this self-care wave bullshit.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was like, holy shit, yeah. I just need to take care of this body. I just need to put fuel in it that it wants and that it feels good about taking in. I just need to move because it feels good to move. I just need to sleep because I feel better when I wake up having slept. Like, I just need to not freaking binge drink because I don't like hangovers. I just need to not do these abusive things because when I take care of this body, I feel better. And all I want at the end of the day is to feel as good as possible for as long as possible without end. And so that's where that concept of care came from.
Well, it's a good story too, because I think that some of the greatest coaches in the world usually have some sort of story, maybe not as, I don't want to say cryptic, but maybe not so like that, but everyone has their own story. So people like you and Carter Good have these lifestyle, major physical transformations. So how has that experience kind of shaped your work going forward? Because I'm assuming at that point you got into this industry and you're like, hey, I got this great simple idea. So kind of explain that and your experience in your work with that transformation.
Well, my work has, it's unfolded. This is 12 years ago. So I've done a lot since then. I started going to the gym religiously after that night, because it felt good, because lifting weights felt good and I want to feel good at all costs. And, how I became a personal trainer, how I got the inspiration to become a personal trainer was I was watching all these obese women work with personal trainers at my local gym. And I was like, you know what? They'd be a hell of a lot more motivated to stick with it. And they'd get a hell of a lot better workout and more appropriate for them if they were working with me. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. I could be a personal trainer. That's crazy. I can't be a personal trainer. I went to a women's college. I'm supposed to be a lawyer or a doctor or God. And I was like, you know what? I could be a personal trainer, but I could be like the best personal trainer that's ever been. Good idea. So then I got my personal training certification and I did that very successfully for many years. And I would just talk to my clients. I would talk turkey and I would tell them what to do and how to do it. And I would give them my tools and my tips. And one day in a session, one of my clients asked me to please start blogging so that she could share the stuff that I told her with her daughter, who would hear it from me, but wouldn't hear it from her mother. So that's why I started blogging. And my blog took off really quickly. And eventually I wrote a piece called 5 Things I Miss About Weighing Over 300 Pounds, which if you haven't read it, you probably should because it's good. And that went viral all over the planet. And all of a sudden I had people from Japan and New Zealand sending me emails wanting to work with me. I had no capacity to do that. I was not an online trainer. I'm still not. But I was I wanted to offer them something. So I created the Pleasure Principles course, which is where I teach all of the things that I do to maintain the transformation, and to enjoy it. And so now I do that. And because of all of that, my name got out there and now I speak and I'm a motivational speaker and I get brought into places like the Fitness Summit to tell my story. So, but the reason why my career has unfolded with its own sort of momentum, I think, is because I have been as bad off as most of the worst case scenarios that walk into our gyms. I have been exactly where they are. I know exactly how they feel. I totally get it. And I have totally turned it around. And they can hear me. They can believe me. They can put faith in me and take the support that I give much more easily and effectively than they tend to be able to do when they're standing across from a trainer or a coach who appears to them to just be giving lip service to the problem, right? Someone who they perceive as never having been more than 20 pounds overweight, or someone who they perceive as never having struggled with addiction, someone that they perceive has had an easy go of it since they fell out of their mother's womb, right? They know that that's not the case with me. They know that I was a hard case and they know that I struggled. and they know that I succeeded. And so it's just easier for them to connect with me and to stay connected with me.
That makes tons of sense.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, do you lead with that story? Because I'm sure there's some people. Well, maybe back then, not all of them knew Kelly Coffey the way everyone does now. Like, would you lead with that? Because that is a huge piece to working with that kind of clientele and getting them to buy in. Is that, hey, I've fucking been there. Like, when does that conversation come up?
You know, I don't. Well, so. I'm trying to think of how I start relationships with people now. That's really funny because there's all different ways that I start relationships. I suppose I do lead with that story because that is the most important part. That's what I have discovered is the most important part to the women that I support who've been with me for years is I know where they're coming from. I have the tools that they need, and the support that I give them will be meaningful support based on my own experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're living proof of success coming from where they're already starting. So, like, I can see how people could really get behind it and believe that they could be successful too.
I even like the fact. So, like, I don't know. How old, I don't want to say how old are you. A lot of people around that time frame when they first started out was like, I started a blog, and like that's like I don't even think people can conceive. I don't even think some people even know what blogs are at this point. It's like I started an Instagram account, so it's kind of cool that is pretty much what kickstarted a lot of this. Was like I just started writing on the internet.
Well, Dean Somerset's got the same story. That's really how he got going with this stuff too, and obviously his career has turned out. You guys have probably traveled fairly similar paths, even though your clientele and your audience is probably a little bit different. So we've seen that a lot with, I would say, that generation of trainers and fitness professionals that are now in the public speaking circuit and have been around in the industry for more than a decade.
Well, as you read articles, not to cut you off, but like, yeah, I remember like I was like 2005. I'm like, how do you get big and all this stuff? I'm not watching YouTube videos. I'm going to read. It's crazy. Right. And what was your blog called? I know. Is it still the same one that you have?
It's still the same.
Okay.
Strongcoffee.com, Coffey. I have to say, from a business standpoint, and I know that this is a fitness podcast, but
it's all things.
It's all things to all people, of course, just like the devil.
Exactly. The fitness devil.
I never set out to get anywhere. That was never my goal. I never intended to be an online personality. I never imagined that I would be a motivational speaker. These were not goals that I had. There's a direct parallel between how my business has exploded and how successful I have been at maintaining my fitness transformation is like, I don't give any thought to large, distant goals. I really just do the best thing that I can do in this moment, in this day. How can I be caring? How can I be of maximum service to the people that need me? What can I do right now, so that tonight when I put my head on my pillow, I feel good about the life that I lived today. And like that has blossomed into a killer body and this fabulous life and what is just the most ridiculously amazing business. And it was all pretty, I'm not going to say it was by accident, but it certainly wasn't because I mapped out a long-term plan. I just showed up every day the best that I could and did the best that I could. So I just want to say that. Well,
yeah, obviously you started a blog. It's not like a blog is, people were like, I'm going to make millions off the blog. Like you just literally had something to say. And I think that's a good place to start at.
This actually goes to kind of the next place we were going to talk about and about the blog and the success versus now it's Instagram and everything. So the more you're talking about the more deeply integrity-based side of the fitness industry that a lot of us come out of, but that's often losing the battle for reach, impact with the broadness of the general population against that sexy Instagram world. The popular charlatans selling, as you mentioned, the bulletproof coffee, the coffee cleanses, coffee enemas, and what that shit is actually, it's totally real. Go Google it. It's terrifying. What do we as an industry need to do better to reach and help more of those people get away from that self-congratulatory echo chamber behavior you often see in our industry, industries like us. Just fire away at that one.
Oh man. Well, the echo chamber is hard. Maybe it just boils down to, and again, there's parallels between business and personal / fitness, right? The more we consume other people's stuff, the less we're focused on doing what we're doing for ourselves. And so, the more time we spend online consuming other trainers' content that just is in perfect alignment with our own, who is that serving? That's not it makes us feel good for a second because we feel like our opinions and our thoughts are validated and what we're doing is valid and da 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 da. But and then maybe we turn around and write an essay that's slightly different on sort of the same topic that's saying essentially the same thing. Like, that's not doing anybody any favors. If we would spend less time consuming and more time creating, and this is a problem that I find a lot with the women that I work with, is they get completely overwhelmed by the overabundance of information that is available about how to get fit. They can spend hours a day on the internet reading about all the different exercises they should be doing and reading about all the different diet approaches that they should be using, or reading about all of the different meditation practices that they could be doing. And they literally burn through whole days consuming ideas about how they should act without ever actually taking action. And so I say to them, like, I have a serious conversation. I have had many of these where I say, do you know what would make you feel better? Do you know what diet plan, what nutrition plan, how to eat in order to make you feel your best? And invariably they say, well, yeah. I say, then stop fucking reading about diets. Stop looking at fucking pictures on fucking Instagram of food. Stop. Because all that is doing is triggering you and making you hungry and making you feel dissatisfied with the dinner that you're making for yourself tonight. Stop it. Do you know how to move and to exercise in a way that makes you feel good? Almost invariably, the answer is yes. Then stop fucking following personal trainers who are telling you how to exercise, because all it's going to do is make you feel insecure about doing the hour-long walk that you do after work. There's nothing wrong with that walk. You don't need to be doing Turkish get-ups. Turkish get-ups are great for the people that they're great for, but stop consuming and create. Stop consuming and just go out and act. And this is a really hard thing for people to do, to disconnect and to trust themselves and to take action and to trust their own data and to really internalize that they know what to do for themselves to make themselves feel good. They do. With very few exceptions, they do. And they need sort of a push, a kick in the ass to just start doing it instead of consuming and looking for a better idea.
Well, plus Turkish get-ups are hard when done right. Like, fuck.
I can't even learn them.
Outside of all of that, that's the one they chose to do. Like,
I can't learn them. I have a mental block with them, and I don't teach with clients.
Like, the weight stuff is good. The weight stuff is good. I get your message, but like, they actually want to do Turkish get-ups. Are they crazy?
Yeah, and then you see
who says that?
And you see a video of some asshole with like a barbell with 100 pounds, and then they're doing a Turkish get-up. It's like sweet motherfucking Christ. Like, no.
You know what though? It probably made him happy though. Like, that was his vice. Is like, or that's what made him happy, was doing Turkish get-up. Clearly, because no one in their right minds would want to fucking do that with a 100-pound barbell.
It's like,
but that's a perfect example. Like, I love doing Turkish get-ups, but then I see a YouTube video of Nagar Fanouni, who weighs like $107, soaking wet with steel toe boots on, pressing 100 pounds. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I'm not strong enough, and I'm certainly not cool cool enough, and I'm definitely not skinny enough, and it's so like I have to, in order to take really good care of myself, I need to focus on my own paper. I need to keep my eyes on my own paper and just do and act and not consume, not watch what other people are doing.
And that's perfectly transferable to things outside of triggers with dieting. Like I remember when I was powerlifting, at least at the beginning, was I was looking at all these people that were like younger than me or like just a little bit older than me, like comparing myself to some of these freak people in this world. And it got me nowhere but stressed out. And then the second I let that go, I was a better performer just because I wasn't so goddamn stressed out. I'm not Jesse Norris deadlifting 800 pounds at 20 years old. I'll never be that. Like, fuck.
Right.
You're onto something.
Horrible.
It's horrible. Like the internet's horrible. Like, thank God honestly, thank God 2005 they didn't have all that shit. You wouldn't have anything to compare yourself to. Now it's like you turn on Instagram, you can compare yourself to like literally everything in 2 seconds.
Doesn't matter how exemplary you are, you will find somebody that is just a little bit better in some sort of context. And one of my clients, I basically told her, get all these fucking fitness models off your Instagram, stop following them. Like even these girls, because like this is one of the most exceptional looking humans on the planet, and yet has a talent for finding just those rare few that somehow just look in her mind a little bit more ideal. And it's just like, nope, that's it. This shit's got to go because this stuff is poison. So get rid of it now. And it worked out. So going back to this whole thing, like I do feel like the industry is getting better at penetrating that mainstream. I think that people like yourself, Sohee Lee, who's on the podcast, Brett Contreras with his glute guy stuff, Mark Fisher, we're recording with him tomorrow, so his episode will follow yours. Love Mark. He's one of the coolest human beings ever. I feel like really you guys, with your message and having a little bit, it's not boring, it's not mundane, it's got some flair to it. You bring up like a flirtatiousness and almost a provocativeness just to your persona. But I feel like you guys are breaking through and getting in into more people. And there we go.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the hedonism side. I'm like, she's getting into lots of people.
I'm getting in. What's up?
And getting into that mainstream that people like Tracy Anderson. I think it was Mike Isertel brought her up, and 3-pound dumbbells. Women shouldn't lift more than that. And competing with that stuff. So I feel like it's good, and I just hope it continues to trend in that direction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. The people like Mark Fisher and Brett Contreras, they're just such good guys and so easy to connect with. And they do have that like charisma and flirtatiousness but what's important is what they're selling. The ideas that they're selling are rock solid. Right. And I'm not just talking about Brett's ass. Like everything that they're about is, evidence-based and it's real, and they're offering solutions to a broader and broader market. And I just am so honored that I get to be a part of that and to be considered in that group, like to be one of their peers it blows my mind.
Well, and we talk about this a lot in terms of like, all the shit information that's out there is by a lot of provocative people, and you almost have to get all the smart people to be more provocative. So it's kind of cool to see that there's some better personalities that are a lot smarter putting out good shit as opposed to I'm gonna bring up Jillian Michaels again, man. Like every fucking podcast, this girl. And like the Kardashians and stuff in terms of fitness, like they have such huge reach, but they like just drop the ball completely. And it's good to see that, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no doubt our audience, like we have members who struggle with a lot of kind of what we've been discussing. Okay. What message can you kind of offer them for their own battles and give them something that they can take away from you? So give them the Kelly Coffey spiel.
Something they can take away from me. So, oh man, I offer a lot of tools, but the one that feels most relevant to me today is that the fact that generation is something that we create and not something that we have to wait to arrive before we take action. Motivation. So the body goes first and the head and the heart follow. We usually sit around, we burn through hours and days and years waiting for the heart and the head to feel ready to make some change, to take some step, to quit smoking, to ask that person on a date, to ask for a divorce. I don't care what it is, to start exercising, to finally give up whatever food it is that you know is making you feel like shit. Whatever it is, like, do not wait. The waiting is like How to Waste Your Life by Kelly Coffey. Keep waiting to feel motivated to make that change. It's a very short book. I'm sorry that I took $9.95 for it. But like once you know that a decision has to be made in order for you to feel better in your body, in your life, in your profession, I don't care in what context. Once you know that a decision has to be made or an action needs to be taken, that is all you need. You don't need to feel motivated to make that change. You go ahead and you put on your big boy pants and you make that freaking change. And then once you have given yourself an opportunity to experience the pleasure that results from having made that very necessary change, then your heart and your head will begin to go, oh, right, this feels good. I want more. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to continue to follow through in the ways that I need to follow through so that this hit of pleasure can keep coming at me. So that's the thing that I would leave your listeners with
Hit of
today.
Pleasure. You just gave me the title. So I always like make up the titles like kind of halfway through. If you give me something good, like all the rest was shit, that was good.
Pleasure hit. Pleasure hit.
Hit
of pleasure is too verbose.
It's also your next book. So when you make that, or do you have a book? I don't know. If you write a book, it's going to be called The Hit of Pleasure, and we'll take like whatever, like a cent off each sale. We're good.
Wait a minute. I came up with the line.
No.
Why are you getting...
he does this.
It's just 1 cent.
You'll deal with him.
That's pretty good.
Let's take this to something very basic, because we hear this all the time. Like, straight up, how does a message of eat less and move more straight up fail people?
It is, I mean, it's not wrong, right? So many of the things that we attack are sort of fundamentally true, but not helpful. Like you have to create a caloric deficit in order to lose weight, right? How do you do that? You eat less and you move more. All true, yes, and so incredibly not helpful. Like how... And this is where coaches become really important. Someone who can get to know the person and understand what the blocks are and understand why they're eating to excess or why they are stagnant and inactive when we all know all their body wants to do is move. It's getting down to the brass tacks of why that is not happening and empowering the person to do those things despite there being these huge, heavy, lifelong blocks. That is helpful. That is doable. That makes that advice actionable. Eat less, move more is like, fuck you, eat less, move more. What is that? No.
Like
somebody give me a burger and a couch, stat. Because it's just not, it's true, but it's not helpful. It's true, but it's not empowering.
It's too simple and there's no context. Like
right.
eat less Oreos, like move, like just get some ankle weights on the couch and like flutter my feet. Like it's just, obviously they're not going to think that. But again, if you have no context to it, like, again, how are they going to self-start? Like that doesn't give them any direction other than
it's a lot more nuanced and it requires a great deal more support.
Right.
But,
right.
Okay. So a lot of people you see in the fitness industry, I want to say that people view them as infallible. They can't do any wrong. On your website, you describe yourself as still a work in progress. So what would you say when people are observing social media messages, and we kind of alluded to that already, to like us as fitness professionals, like how are they kind of consuming some of the stuff that they see wrong in terms of like what's actually going on in our lives as fitness professionals?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
So, like, we got this picture perfect trainer, set of 6-pack abs. I post a lot of selfies and like my life's perfect. You know, every meal is a fucking goddamn dream with vegetables and a little bit of rice and like a clean chicken breast. And we all know for fucking the truth is that that's not how it actually is. So what do you say to people who are consuming that message and give them like the real talk and like how, like what life actually is like for us and that we're not perfect? Because some people project that we are.
I mean, it takes some critical thinking practice, right? Every single thing that we see on social media is a curated, thoughtfully chosen thing. Like it's not, you know, if there were a random camera just following me around throughout my day, that would be devastating and horrible and very embarrassing. But like there's no way, unless there is someone following someone around 24 hours a day with a camera, there's no way that any of us can imagine for even a second that we're getting an honest representation of their lives. All we're ever getting online is the stuff that people want us to see. And one of the things that makes me a little left of center on social media is that my writing is about my dark times. You know, I never post pictures of perfect food. You know, occasionally I'll post a really cute picture of like me and my kids because they're amazing. But like, it's always with the caveat that like, hey, look at this great moment. It's hard to imagine that they were both screaming and crying 5 minutes before that because it's critical to me that everyone that follows me understands that I am exactly like them.
I actually saw something, I think just the last couple of days, it was a comparison, but I just saw something on, I think it was Instagram, and it talked about how you can take like pictures of fast food and you can take pictures of fitness models. Well, we all know that when you get away from the pictures and see it in real life, it's going to probably be a lot shittier. So like you said, a lot of this stuff is very curated and crafted and marketed, and it's not really authentic, nor is it an accurate picture of what's really going on in someone's life.
It is not accurate at all. And the more we consume pictures and content of these like idealized images of food and these idealized images of bodies, the less satisfied we are with the food that we're eating and the bodies that we have. So oftentimes the most caring choice that we can make in any moment is just to turn off the goddamn phone and do something. You know, like actually take an action, go work out, go for a walk, cook yourself a meal, you know, like focus on the friends that you have and the, you know, completely average bodies that they have and like make connections with people. Like the less we can consume these idealized images and the more we can just focus on what is happening in our own lives and to our own bodies, the healthier and the happier we'll be.
Well, it's totally true that people want, but like that's the problem. People want to consume the good shit. Cause like I remember I posted a picture of like I have like that 6-pack bag. I have these 4 like containers and I had all my prep in there, like my vegetables, my rice, and like I think it was pork anyway. Someone posted like, that's fucking disgusting. And I'm like, well, that's generally what I'm eating. Like, sorry, I guess I won't post that. Like I'll post my nice like did up dish. Like when I make an omelet, like it's going on the plate. I'm not making it look nice. So I think people want that though. And I think that's the problem, the disconnect. And I'm sure that the stuff you had to deal with initially with some of your clients.
Well, yeah. And, you know, that's really, really sad because we're not giving them the truth. We're giving them what they want to see, you know, and the truth is always a lot less sexy than what people are sort of conditioned to want to see and click on. You know, I never, this is a great example from my own social media feed on Facebook. I'm Strong Coffee Personal Training on Facebook. And the pinned post at the top of my page is a post of a before and after of me. And the before is like me chowing down at a diner at 300 pounds. And the after is me after a hot yoga class wearing a bra and some little shorts. And you can see that I have a 6-pack. And like that image got so much more action than anything else I have ever posted ever. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, I bare my soul in my writing. I tell all, I give everything. And I, get out of a fucking yoga class and you can see that I have defined abs and like, this is the thing. This is the fire on the internet.
The world's like, beat it with your information. Like, give us some six pack.
Give me some six pack. It's just like, but you know what? But because I want to reach people and because I want to have an impact, and this is the hard thing. Like, I have pinned that post to the top of my page. So that is the thing that people see when they come to my page. I would love it if they just wanted to read my latest piece of writing on my blog, but really they kind of want to see my abs. So like,
well, that's
it's
the problem.
A hard balance to strike. It is.
Well,
that is the
and
problem.
we were talking about that with Mike after the podcast was like, he's like, well, where do I stack up in terms of other like big fitness professionals? And I was like, well, in terms of like Jillian Michaels, you're not even fucking close, even though we know Mike Israel is like a fucking god in this world. And it's that whole idea of you have to sell out to some instances to get that reach, to reach people, because doing the nice, normal, like actual truth is generally unsexy. No one wants to see that shit, weirdly enough. And so you have to almost sell your soul just a little bit just to get more people so you can have that impact. Because without attention, you have no impact.
Yeah,
if no one's reading your shit, I don't know. It's just tough because we always talk about booty pics, but like, I'm not putting up like half nudes on my Instagram. Fuck that. But if I did,
I can't tell you how many friends have been like, dude, you don't have that many followers on Instagram. You should start posting pictures of your ass. And I'm like, no, I'm not posting pictures of my ass. But like, probably if I started posting, not to say that my ass is like this spectacular ass, let's all, I'm in my 30s and I used to weigh over 300 pounds. So it might be shared for the wrong reasons, but like,
it's an ass. You're a girl. You're a girl. There's an ass and a girl.
And it's an ass. My following would double if I started doing that today, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what I'm selling. Like, I am selling the truth. I am selling a solution. It's just so unsexy and it's really hard to get the message out and it sucks.
Well, Dean, actually, I think, Dean, maybe you should start putting more like half-naked pics because you'd really tap into the community of gay men that are looking for fitness advice and information.
I'll take it all. It's just like, I just don't, regardless, even if gay men liked it, I just wouldn't want to do it anyways. Like, it's...
Well, I mean,
I'm sure they do. Like, I don't know, like whatever.
You'd probably have a lot more attention sliding into your DMs in that context.
Yeah, I'll fucking coach you. Yeah. Want more pictures? Sure. Get me 1,000 followers. I'll do it. No, I wouldn't.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna get DMs now. Fuck. You know what? Send me your DM. I don't.
You're gonna get a lot more than DMs, dude.
I'm married, regardless. So fuck. Send your DMs. I just won't reply to them. It's not because I don't like gay people. Like, I just whatever. Send your fucking DM. Enough with your ideas. Okay, so just to kind of close in on this. So we talked about your own battles. Are you currently? I guess, and I know the answer, but like what are your current battles like right now? Kelly Coffey 2017, right before 2018. What are you currently working on?
Oh man. Well, let's see. Professionally, I am working on getting up the steam to finally write a book. And that is its own, like, whatever. I just told you guys the whole motivation thing. Like, don't wait for your head and your heart to be ready. Meanwhile, I'm like, you know what? I should probably really wait until the perfect time to start doing this book thing. And I know that it's bullshit. And here I am, like I should really start doing that. And, personally, dating is fascinating stuff. And that's sort of its own magical universe of insecurity and weirdness. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Also helps with the booty pics on the Instagram. Like, those would go hand in hand, FYI. You get more dates.
Should I post booty pics and then be like, #single, #what's up?
Well, yeah, do you want that may work.
I don't think that
don't
would
think
pull
that's a
in
good idea.
the people I'm looking for.
But it's the same thing as like, could you reach more people? Like maybe you reach more people and you get someone that is like unbelievable that you wouldn't have got had you not post a booty pic and put hashtag single. Just think about that.
I will give some serious consideration to that, Dean. Thank you.
Actually, this is a good talking point. So I got some friends, some girls who they post.
I lost you again.
You still, got you.
Are you guys there?
We're there.
You good?
Oh God! Don't drop off again.
Are you there?
Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
good.
Here.
We're there.
I'm here.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay,
sweet.
good. So no stress. I'll start over. So I got a bunch of female friends who they post some pretty provocative stuff, some photos on their social media, and they are personal trainers, and it does attract a very large audience, but it's not an audience that's going to deliver them any sort of business or any sort of benefit, and they spend an inordinate amount of time dealing with messages and some inappropriate pictures and a variety of other things that I find it overwhelms them. Yeah, totally.
I was going to say that's the only thing.
And more.
Dick pics.
Yeah. And it overwhelms them and distracts them. And despite the idea of, oh, hey, I'm having a broader audience, it's completely the kind of audience that is not only not constructive, but it is actually very, very taxing on their time and their energy. So I think that if you're going to take that road and push that boundary, you better know what you're getting in.
We're already assuming she's doing it. Like she's like in the middle.
Oh, no, that's not for Kelly. That is
for everyone.
That is
Gotcha.
for anyone listening who's even thinking about crossing that. Because that's a bell. I don't know if you really want to ring that bell.
I'm sorry, guys. Can you hang on? I'm trying to get my ass angled in the mirror just right with my cell phone here. Oh, good. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
We'll use that as a graphic to lead for the podcast. We'll release it. So now let's
could be the cover of Hit of Pleasure.
go
Your new
back.
book.
Let's go back to
Yay!
now.
Ass provided by Brett Contreras. What's up?
Speaking of books, and I always ask everyone this: are there any books that you've read that factor into your own personal and professional success? Anything you're reading currently that's really profound?
Oh wow. So yes, but it's not. It's about sex. It's called
Sutra?
"Come as You Are." Which is fabulous title, Come As You Are. And it was written by a sex educator, PhD, the former president of the Wellness Center at Smith College. Her name is Emily Nagoski, and it's all about sort of women's sexual pleasure and the things that block them from wanting to be sexual. It's a fabulous read for any woman or any man who's interested in having sex with any woman, because I'd say the more you understand about how female sexuality works, the more sex you're going to have, which I think is a benefit to everyone involved.
That's probably the driving
Except
force
maybe
for everybody in society in a lot of ways, right?
Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. Order that shit and read it and be a better person. What's up?
Yeah, sleep with more people. Women.
Sleep with more.
There's your actionable takeaway from this episode.
Yeah,
People do things to be able to sleep with more people.
Like you get rid of the
We're in
rest.
so much
Like
trouble.
It's not good stuff. That was the last 5 minutes. Good. Okay, so let's just talk about where people can find you. So your website, your blog is, well, you kind of let us know. Like, what's the best way to see what Kelly Coffey's bringing to the table?
Strong Coffee Personal Training on Facebook is the place to sort of like me and follow me.
With EY.
My blog, it's EY, Coffey. And then strongcoffee.com is my website and blog. And I am Strong Coffeegram on Instagram if you want to see the occasional selfie. I don't really do much on my Instagram, but I'm there. And I'm pretty sure I have like an OkCupid profile, but I don't know what the URL is for that.
Well, thanks. Appreciate all that.
Other than that,
I don't actually have an OkCupid profile. That was just a joke. But
I don't know. You say you're single. Like, fuck. You don't want to post Instagram pictures, so maybe that's the best way. I don't know.
Yeah, give them your Tinder profile and all that other stuff too.
It's like, actually, you know what?
Trying to be funny.
This is how you reach me, Tinder. Anyways, we're not a matchmaking podcast, okay, Kelly? Jesus.
Yeah, no, God, no, I know. I know. And plus, you guys are trying to cater to the gay men anyway. I know.
Yeah, we'll cater to whoever the fuck wants to listen.
I actually train a bunch of gay men, and they're the best and the funniest for conversation. Like the stuff you can talk about that they'll say is utterly fantastic.
Absolutely.
They are the best clients to have.
God love it. All right, so this was amazing, but we're probably out of time and certainly out of questions. So Kelly, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate that. And I just want to thank the audience for listening again. We should return soon, maybe next week, with Mark Fisher coming up. So look forward to that one. And the big thing is, guys, keep subscribing to our podcast. You know, if you're if you're a Kelly Coffey fan who has found us here, and if you really like this, try one of our other episodes. Just try Hannah Gray. We just released her. You'll really like Hannah a lot. And if you really like that, then, you know, maybe take a chance on us and subscribe to us and try more of our stuff. So thanks for giving us a chance, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, guys.